What's the latest forecast here?
And
It's
we
gonna
are
go all
live.
night.
Supposed to be like 2 doses, one now and then one like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's election day tomorrow.
We on? Okay. Call to order the meeting of the Green Bay Bicycle, or Traffic Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission for Monday, February 19th, 2018. We move down under general business, approval of the agenda, number 1. Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 2, approval of the minutes from the January 15,
Move.
2018 Traffic Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission meeting. Motion been made and
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 3, initial requests. 3, consideration of possible action on request by Alderman Dorff on behalf of Charles Beline, 2428 Indigo Bluff Drive, to establish a one-way stop condition on Raccoonberry Way at Indigo Bluff Drive. Love those names.
Yeah,
I
I've never
know.
heard of them all.
Wow. Did you want to go first then, Barb, since it's your request?
Well, I basically just forwarded the email,
Oh, okay.
and so I would just prefer that you talk about,
Sure.
I didn't think it really was something that maybe you did, that we did. So I would just like to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, I'll direct your attention then to the screen. You'll see where the push pin is. That's actually the intersection. The map, though, that you're seeing is about a year old. This is actually what they call the Preserve 3 development. And a lot of the street network is in place now. And as you can tell, the development is phase 1 up here. It's pretty much done. So the intersection is right here.
What is the big street in the middle?
This one right here?
No.
The
The-
one that has the
Oh,
boulevard?
One north, oh, this is North Huron.
Oh, North Huron.
Yeah, here, let me give you a little bit even better reference on where we're at.
That's cool.
5457 is gonna be to the north, that's 5457 in Huron, Bay Settlement.
Right.
So you just go south, here's Fire Station on Humboldt Road intersection, and you go slightly south. You probably remember, Barb, this is where we had installed that dead end sign
Yes.
on the name of street assembly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where
this-
was that? Because right kind of next to it?
That's a little bit further into it, that was actually, as you can see, here's the dead end.
Yes.
So we ended up installing that right here.
Right.
So this is actually real close to the entrance right off of the county highway, this intersection. But this road right here, Raccoonberry Way, this actually extends now all the way down to, or it goes all the way over here to Whittier, or what is this, Bedford, I believe it is. Yeah, so this all connects now, so this road system's actually in.
Is
But
there
there's
a
only-
name for that kind of a road that goes all the way through something?
To me, it's just a residential street then.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty minor. The development right now, from what I saw, there's only 3 homes that are built on Raccoonberry Way.
Okay.
Although Indigo Bluff seems to be 100% at capacity. I do have some photos I can show you as well to get a better idea, something a little bit more updated. Oh boy. What's going on here?
It's probably the freezing rain.
Object involved. This is a Windows 10 laptop, and no, I had them all set it up. I had to make sure that this is all working, but, well, I guess it's really not that much to see
Okay.
anyway. I mean, it's your standard T intersection. The one thing I noticed relative to this request is that if you come up to the T intersection and you look to the right, because of that curvature of the road, and I don't know if it's just the way that my vehicle's designed kind of has a blind spot in that area, where the vehicle's coming up, it's almost right in that one spot on my vehicle, at least my city-issued vehicle. So I thought that could potentially become a problem if a lot of vehicles that have similar design like that. When I say problem, as in we should really be forcing some sort of control for that movement rather than
Okay.
just kind of go and, oh, I don't have any control, I don't think I see anyone, then all of a sudden a crash occurs. So at minimum, what I would be looking at here is probably a one-way yield sign to start off, because
Okay.
it isn't fully developed yet. We can always upgrade to a stop condition once things get more fully developed, and or if there's issues with a yield sign. But I would say at this point in time, a yield sign, one-way yield Raccoonberry for Indigo
Sure.
Bluff is recommended.
Okay, motion's been made by
Dan?
Dan.
No,
Oh,
Representative.
okay.
You did?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion too.
Oh, okay.
Just let's start with the one-way yield sign, and we could upgrade it to a stop sign if conditions warrant in the future.
Sure.
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4, we're gonna see, or I'm sorry, postpone for
Should I
1 month.
move to do that, or do you need a motion?
Yes, you need a motion.
Okay, I move to hold item 4 upon the request of Alder Dwayne.
Do you want to do
You wanna
7
make
too at the same time?
4
And, I'm
7.
sorry, 4 and 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold both
Okay.
at the request of Alder Dwayne.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5, consideration of possible action on request by Alderman Nennick on behalf of a resident to consider additional parking restrictions on Proper Street.
Okay, I guess all I can really provide at this time is more the history and the existing conditions, and then we do have the Alder with us tonight, so we can hear exactly what some of the residential concerns are in this area. So Proper Street is a 2-block roadway, residential, and Elizabeth Street is its terminus on the east. This is Newhall Street, and this is Wagner Street. For existing restrictions right now, what we have is the north side of Proper from Elizabeth to Newhall, so that would be, this block here with the push pin. And then there's a short no parking here to corner right at Wagner, north side again. And then the south side has no parking from Wagner to Newhall, so this short block, the south side has it, but the south side between Newhall and Elizabeth is unrestricted. The one unique feature about this roadway is that it is a relatively narrow street. It's 25 feet in clear roadway width, meaning from face of curb to face of curb. This results in, obviously you could do the math if you split it, if there was no parking on both sides, it gives you about 12.5 feet, but seeing how we have some available parking on the street, that really does narrow up that width to sometimes make it difficult for two-way traffic. So our minimum lane width that we like to have on a residential street is 10 feet. 12 is typical. Anyway, that's really the existing configuration. I can tell you that this block that has parking, from Newhall to Elizabeth on that south side where parking is available, it was restricted actually at one time prior to 1996. The elder at the time, Gary Krischer, who actually was on the traffic commission at the time, had brought this item forward, and there were, I think, 4 or 5 different residents that actually spoke on behalf of requesting to remove it. And it was accepted and went on 90-day trial and passed. So that's the reason that you have available parking on the south side. So it's been in place for roughly 12 years. Other than that, that's about the history that I can provide for you. And
Go ahead, Alderman Nennick, if you want to speak to it.
I guess for tonight, I'd just like to ask that you refer it for a month for study. The person that called me on this would like to meet with a traffic engineer to discuss her concerns. And it was basically that it's difficult for her to back out of her driveway with cars parking on the street very close to her driveway. I'm not sure what the solution is there. I have a feeling that other residents will want to keep parking on the street, but I'd like to give her that opportunity, so I just ask you to refer to it.
quick question, do you know what side of the street? Is she on the north or south?
She's on the south side between Newhall and Elizabeth, about the middle, around the middle somewhere.
Okay.
And,
So do you need a motion?
So you want to just postpone it, you said?
I will refer to staff.
Yeah, there was, she actually, one day when she backed out, she hit a parked car that was there because it was, there was very little room to maneuver with snowbanks and everything else, so that's kind of what precipitated it. But if you want to refer it, that's what I would do.
Yeah, obviously Proper Street is probably one of those streets that we have on our narrow roadway list for winter plowing, because what happens over time, especially if we get a lot of snowfall that accumulates and not a lot of melting, the streets actually get narrower and narrower, and we'll actually either establish we'll go down to one-way system sometimes on some of them. It's pretty rare that we implement it, but I believe this is actually one of those streets. So,
Okay.
very narrow, but you wanted that referred?
Yeah, thank you.
I move to refer to staff.
Second?
Motion been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion made. 6, consideration with possible action on the request by Alderman Zima that the city place a flashing school zone sign at the Leonardo da Vinci School for Gifted Learners on Monroe Avenue.
The request by Zima in Scanlon's district, just wanted to make that clarification. I did not get an opportunity to discuss it with Zima, but the same item or discussion item was made with Alder Scanlon and myself. So I'm presuming this person was maybe just seeking multiple opinions. And but Randy did ask me about this, and his question was more related to, is the school signage adequate on Monroe Avenue for the school? So I mean, I remember this when the school went in. I worked with the school very closely on parking zones, and as you may even recall, some of you that have been on the traffic commission when the school first opened, that those items were actually passed through this commission. But the school zone signage is something that we did internally. You know, it's not something that needs action by council or anything like that. It's just part of our daily duties. But we did install some of the school advance warning signs. I do have, I had some photos of them, but obviously they're not working here. But anyway, so long story short, I did evaluate them. It does meet or exceed the compliance that we need from the manual and uniform traffic control devices for such signage. Sometimes we get challenged on whether or not we should have the speed limit, the state law, 15 mile an hour when children are present. Because you do see them quite frequently in our school zones. But technically that's not a requirement per state statute nor city ordinance. In areas where you don't have a quote-unquote safe route crossing for that school. A lot of times you'll see there's marked crosswalks, et cetera, or the crosswalk symbol with a down arrow for the student crossings within them, and then you'll also see the 15 mile an hour. But you don't need to have the 15 posted, because by state statute, 346.574A to be specific, that means 15 miles an hour on any street contiguous to a school when children are present. So bottom line is, we reviewed it, they're there, the signs are in excellent condition. They're the fluorescent yellow-green type, so they seem to pop out pretty good. So I don't really know exactly what the reason is behind saying that they need flashing lights. I mean, typically flashing anything, including like a flashing sign, is usually used in an area where we've had trouble, problems.
Right.
We may have one or more crossings where you know, the yielding has been little to non-compliance on behalf of the drivers. And this is one of those locations that you know, we really don't have that designated crossing. I can tell you that it's not a quote-unquote safe route crossing at you know, 1 block south of Walnut at Doty right here, but rather the safe crossing is at the Signage intersection. As you can see, here's the school, and then this is the Signage intersection with all the pedestrian features, push buttons, countdown timers, etc. For a safe pedestrian crossing. You know, we've talked with the school about that. It comes up, I'd say, once a year or so. You know, usually the beginning of the school year, where we get some sort of request for some sort of crosswalks or upgrades. And actually, there, I believe and this is probably an old aerial here, but I believe we at least have the markings. And from the Monroe project, I believe we had the contrast, you know, the colored concrete put in place as well. So,
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Certainly.
yeah.
Did the school ask for this?
No, this is Alderman Zima.
Okay, so
Yeah,
there's
no,
been
this
no
is-
communication, the school's not saying, hey, this is really
Correct.
dangerous, and,
Never heard from-
okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep,
Okay.
no. My opinion is that I think that it's signed appropriate for the location per statute, METCD, and I have no knowledge of any sort of a school crossing issue in this
Mr.
area.
Chairman.
So
Move to receive.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would move to receive and place on file this request.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So 7 was postponed, right? So
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. 8, consideration with possible action on the request to install a rectangular rapid flash beacon on South Broadway at the Georgia Pacific Broadway Mill contractor parking lot, mid-block crosswalk.
I believe everyone of you received this technical memorandum. This is the
That's
pedestrian
yours?
crossing
Yes,
study. I
it's
don't
in
know,
the city.
Alderman Nenning, if you'd like to have a copy of this. for your
Yeah, do you want
information.
more?
Dave?
You have one more thing?
I've got one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need one?
Yeah,
Or-
Barbara.
Well, I want Alderman.
I have more.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I printed extra. So I guess this is probably this request really coincides with something else that has happened recently at the federal level that some of you may or may not know. But specifically, the request when it came in was for this rectangular rapid flash beacon, which is, I should say, was a tool in our toolbox until the Federal Highway Administration rescinded its interim approval. A lot of people probably presumed that the beacon itself was something that was already accepted by the Fed, but it was not. It was called interim approval 11, and it was under experimentation, and in order to use it, you actually had to ask permission from the Feds, which they pretty much gave to most people that requested it. All they asked is that you provide the locations that you would install them. So that being said, fast forward, I think it was in 2009, correct me if I'm wrong, Chuck, maybe, I think it was 2009 when that was actually added, that interim approval. But anyway, long story short, there was a patent issue. And when I say patent issue, the manual prohibits there being patents on traffic control devices. They want equal competition, they want uniformity. And because this patent was there, and I believe that there may have been some lawsuits out there with the patent holder suing other manufacturers of the device, that this came to their attention and they just pulled it. Did not get a real warm welcome by a lot of the traffic community, including a lot of engineers, because it seemed to be a pretty effective tool. Regardless, as I say, it is what it is, and we need to comply with state and federal law. So to directly address the request for a rapid flash beacon, the answer is we can't. So with that being said, I still wanted to take a look at the crossing itself, give you a little bit of history on it without having to read this report for you verbatim. A number of years ago, Georgia Pacific had approached us about this contractor lot. So we're on the map where you see the push pin. That's actually where a lot of their contract employees or contractors, an electrical contractor that comes into the plant to do work on a daily basis. Some of them are, one-offs. But anyway, they asked for a mid-block crossing at that location, and they made some improvements to their driveway, and it almost mimics what you would say would be, kind of like an intersection. So it looks somewhat like an intersection, but it's not. So the appropriate items are put into place, like the ADA-style curb ramps and markings and signs. So we thought those were working fine. They came to us asking for the rapid flash beacon, so that's why we're here today. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward right over to probably the last page here when it comes down to conclusions and some of the items that I saw that I think that we could probably tweak to make it a little bit more uniform. So in the recommendations, what I'm saying is install one advanced pedestrian warning sign. That's your standard diamond shaped sign with a pedestrian on it. Place that about 200 feet north of the crosswalk facing southbound traffic. Reading into that, and if you're reading the report, we actually have one in the opposite direction. For some reason, we don't have it in this direction. My only guess is, I can tell you, I signed and marked this thing. I'm pretty sure I would have done both directions, but there's a lot of truck traffic and turning traffic around there. I'm guessing that we probably had it somewhere up at Liberty Street and got hit by a truck or something. That happens from time to time where we get knockdowns that way, and we don't learn of all of them. It's usually because we need eyes out in the field, and when those signs are down, that we get notified. So that's my first recommendation, is to basically equalize that when it comes down to the advanced warning signs. The second one, which is probably the most important, is to basically what I call double up the signs. So as you know, at a lot of pedestrian crossings, you'll see if you're driving in one direction, you'll see it on the right side. That's where most signs are. Now in a mid-block location such as this, a lot of times what we like to do is kind of bump the standard up just one notch, just to make it pop out a little bit more because it's not at a standard location. So by doubling up, that just simply means that we're putting one on the left side of the road too. So as the motorist comes up, they see two warning signs and they have the two arrows. So that's probably the most important part of this recommendation. And then the third is that they all match in color, so that fluorescent yellow and green color, that color scheme for it. So those are my recommendations. And with that, I know that that Georgia Pacific had specifically requested this. I don't have any problem forwarding this report onto them so that they're aware of what our results were and our recommendations.
Okay, I move to approve the recommendations made by staff.
Second. Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. No other items? I'll entertain a motion to
I
adjourn.
move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, we're adjourned.
This is
Aha.
really coming out.
Get home before the ice comes.
I think it's too late.
Too late there.
It was 32 when I, on my,
Just take a
in my
Look
second.
at my
car.
Mickey Mouse watch.
Watch the sidewalk. You're watching the sidewalk.
Yes.
Last time.